Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Diego, and this video is the document checklist to become a U.S. citizen. The document checklist to become a U.S. citizen. Come on along and I will go over it with you. Now, you can apply for U.S. citizenship online on your trusty computer, or you can file the paperwork in the mail. But either way, these are the documents that you're going to require. Number one, a photocopy blown up nice and big in color of your permanent residency card, or otherwise known as your alien registration card or green card. Now, if you've lost your green card, you can include a copy of the receipt of your form I-90, which is the application to replace your lost green card. Next, you're going to need a check or a cashier's check or a money order for the application fee and the biometric services fee. Okay, now you can also pay using your credit card, but I do not recommend you use your credit card to pay for your U.S. citizenship N400 application. If you are over the age of 75 years old, you are exempted from the biometric services fee, and make sure you write your alien number on the back of the check or the money order. Very important. Now, you don't need an attorney to file this paperwork for you, but if you use an attorney, that individual will have to file a completed original G28 notice of entry of appearance as an attorney or a representative. But you don't need an attorney, immigration attorney, to do this. Okay? If you have changed your name legally, you must prove this in the documentation. You can, if you married your husband and took his last name, you can prove that you changed your last name by the marriage certificate, okay, or a divorce decree or a court document. Now, if you are applying for U.S. citizenship, naturalization, because you married a U.S. citizen, you got to send the following 4 items. You got to prove evidence that your spouse has been a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years, okay? This can be in the form of a birth certificate, a certificate of naturalization, a certificate of citizenship, the inside of the front cover and signature page of the spouse's current U.S. passport, okay, or form FS-240, which is the report of birth abroad of a citizen of the United States of America, okay? Now, your marriage certificate will work, okay? You got to provide proof of termination of all marriages, which is certified divorce decrees from the courthouse. You cannot go to Office Depot and make a copy of your divorce decree. It's got to be an original certified copy, and that includes death certificates, okay? You must include documentation that refers to you and your spouse, okay? This would be joint tax returns. You got to file joint tax returns together on the 1040. Bank accounts, joint bank accounts. You got to prove you are joint bank account holders from when you first got married. Your name on the lease to the apartment complex, or the deed to the house. The best way to get your tax transcripts, okay, is to call this 800 number, 800-829-1040. Call that number, go through the prompts, and they will send you up to 3 years worth of tax transcripts. You just got to identify which year you are requesting, or years in your case. And as I mentioned before, you got to, if you were married before, you got to show proof that all earlier marriages have ended in divorce, annulments, or deaths. So you got to provide certified courthouse divorce decrees, death certificates, annulments, etc. Now, if you are currently serving in the United States military and you are seeking citizenship based on your service, you send a completed original form N426. But this video is primarily for K-1 visa applicants and those persons married to U.S. citizens that came in on a spousal visa or a K-1. Now, suppose you took a vacation on your 2-year green card or your 10-year green card before you applied for U.S. citizenship. Okay, if you've taken any trips out of the United States that lasted for 6 months or more since becoming a lawful permanent resident, you got to prove and provide evidence that you and your family continue to live and work and keep ties in the United States. You know, this can be tax returns, rent and mortgage payments, etc. But my advice to you is this: don't leave the United States. If you want to go on vacation, take a 2-week vacation, but don't leave the United States if you can possibly help it before you apply for U.S. citizenship. Just my opinion. Now, if you have any dependent children, let's suppose you have a K2 that came to the United States when he or she was like 17, 18, and that individual then decided to return back to his or home country. You must continue to provide support for that child even though the person is no longer living with you, because they are your dependent, and child support payments, evidence of wage garnishments, whatever. Money union, Western Union receipts showing that you have continued to support the child even though the child does not live with you. If you do not show proof of evidence of continued support of the child, there's a possibility you will be denied U.S. citizenship. Now, this is the documents required for U.S. citizenship, naturalization. Have you ever been arrested, Mr. Beneficiary, Ms. Beneficiary? Have you ever been detained by law enforcement for any reason? And even if no charges were filed, you got to send an original official statement by the arresting agency or applicant confirming that no charges were filed against you. Have you ever been arrested, detained by law enforcement or for any reason and charges were filed? You got to send an original or court certified copy of the complete arrest record for each incident, even if there's a dismissal order, conviction, or acquittal. Very important. Now, have you ever been arrested where the conviction was vacated or set aside or expunged or otherwise removed from your record? It hasn't in the eyes of immigration. So you must send an original court certified copy of a court order which vacates or sets aside or expunges or removes any arrest records or convictions that happened to you. Okay? Now, if you've been arrested or convicted of a crime, you may send any countervailing evidence or evidence in your favor concerning the circumstances of your arrest and your conviction that you would like U.S. citizenship and immigration services to consider. But the secret here is stay out of trouble, don't get in trouble, and you don't have to worry about this. Now, this is very important. If you have ever failed to file an income tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident, you must send all correspondence that you have communicated with the IRS regarding your failure to file a tax return. Okay, if you don't file a joint tax return with your husband, or if you get divorced and you don't file a tax return as a single person, that's a problem with immigration. Okay, if you have any federal, state, or local taxes that are overdue, you got to send a signed agreement with the IRS or the local or state tax office showing that you're making payments, or you've arranged to pay the money that you owe the taxes and you're making payments. Okay, very important. And if you are a K2, you came in as a child, or you are a male aged 18 to 26, you must register with the Selective Service. If you do not, there will be issues with immigration, and there's a possibility you could be denied U.S. citizenship. So make sure if you're aged between 18 and 26, register with the Selective Service system. Now, you can file online for U.S. citizenship naturalization at myaccount.uscis.gov. You're going to put in your email address, you're going to put in your password, and if you don't have a USCIS online account number, you can create an account there, and this is where you can file online. My recommendation, though, is to file with paperwork. Now, if you file the old-fashioned way, which is the way I recommend, if you file via a courier service, depending on where you live, where you can submit your naturalization paperwork. Via FedEx, UPS, and DHL, you can send it to Tempe, Arizona. You can send it to Louisville, Texas, or you can send it to Chicago, Illinois. The address depends on where you live. Okay, on what state you live in, which state. That determines where you're going to mail your naturalization paperwork off to. You could apply for U.S. citizenship 3 years from the issue date of your 2-year green card. This applies to beneficiaries from foreign countries that have married American citizens, came to the United States on a K1, K2 visa, or a spousal visa. 3 years from the issue date on the 2-year green card is when you can apply for U.S. citizenship. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and don't forget I do a live stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 6 p.m. And on Wednesdays and Saturdays you get to meet my beautiful wife Karina from Venezuela. And be patient during the process. Don't be in a big rush. Take your time filling out the paperwork. Don't forget to sign the paperwork, and then you will get through this process successfully. Stay out of trouble. Don't get any trouble with the police, and then you won't have to file any paperwork for immigration and put your U.S. citizenship status in jeopardy. Don't leave the country on your 2-year green card for a very long period of time. Go on a vacation for 2 weeks. Don't go beyond that. My opinion. If you stay out of the country longer than 6 months on a 2-year green card or a 10-year green card, there's a good possibility your green card will be revoked. I'm not an immigration attorney. I don't give you any legal advice. I speak from 11 years of experience helping people get their green cards and their K1 visas. See you at the live stream, and thanks for watching.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. See you later. Bye.